হ্যালো হ্যালো শুনতে পাচ্ছেন ম্যাম?
হ্যাঁ, আমি শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
Can everybody hear me properly? Hello? Can
Yes.
everybody? Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Midnapore City College Library, a very hearty welcome to all of you in our one-day national webinar on digitization and library, changing nature of reading habit and learning environment in Corona pandemic scenario. Today, we are honored to have with us Mrs. Sujata Roy, Chief Operating Officer of National Digital Library of India, IIT Kharagpur, Dr. Nivedita Bhattacharyya Sahu, Assistant Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, Vidyasagar University, and Dr. Bidyarthi Dutta, Assistant Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, Vidyasagar University. I want to express my respect towards Honorable Director Sir, Professor Pradeep Ghosh, and respected Principal Sir, Dr. Sudipto Chakraborty. Now, I would like to request our Principal Sir to say a few words and start the webinar. Hello? Hello? Please, sir. Hello?
Yes, are you hear me?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
At first, I am really thankful to our library department and our college administrative body and academic body for arranging this type of seminar entitled Digitalization and Library, Changing Nature of Reading Habit and Learning Environment in Corona Pandemic Scenario. At first, I will highlight our institution as a whole. Moraine Human Resource Development Organization has established Midnapore City College at Bhattacharyya, Albani block in the Jungle Mall area of Paschim Medinipur district. This is actually tribal based block of this college under the recognition of Department of Higher Education, Government of West Bengal, affiliated to Vidyasagar University and accredited to UCF. This college is special one where students will be benefited by various subjects in the graduate and postgraduate level. We have 18 PG and UG departments in our college in different disciplines like science, humanities, education, paramedical, etc. And we have also a modern library. It is digitalized more or less. It is efforted by Mr. Ashish Bari. His eminent work for this. I know Madam Roy also helped him too much for the development of this type of digitalization. And in our college, we have collaborated in different foreign institutions also, in USA, Australia, and different other countries, and different eminent personalities that came here and delivered their lecture time to time. And today's lecture also, everybody should be benefited by this lecture. Digitalization is very important in this pandemic situation, and today I am really thankful and grateful. In this seminar I present here, I have and I am really thankful to Dr. Nivedita Bhattacharyya Sahu, Assistant Professor, Department of Library Informatics Science, Information Science, Vidyasagar University, Mrs. Roy, Chief Operating Officer, National Digital Library of India, Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and with that Dr. Bidyarthi Dutta, Department of Library Information Science, Bhattacharyya University, West Bengal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. One thing to be notified that the participants can ask questions in the comment section of YouTube Live. Now, I would like to introduce Mrs. Sujata Roy. Mrs. Sujata Roy is the Chief Operating Officer of National Digital Library of India project, executed by IIT Kharagpur. She works with external organizations to familiarize them with the objectives and purpose of National Digital Library of India and guides and works with them to bring them on board as partner of National Digital Library of India. Mrs. Roy is an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur and has spent most of her career in the corporate IT sector, working with various private and multinational organizations till she finally retired from IBM as General Manager. After retirement, she has been actively involved in IIT alumni activities and is happy to be back to her alma mater through her role in NDLI. So, ma'am, thank you and please take over.
Thank you, Mr. Barik. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today taking this session on National Digital Library of India. For this, I'm thankful to Dr. Pradeep Ghosh, Director, Midnapore City College and the Chief Patron, Dr. Sudipta Chakraborty, Principal, Midnapore City College, who is also the patron, without whose blessings this session could not have happened. Of course, I'm thankful to Mr. Ashish Barik, Assistant Librarian, who is the convener of the session and who has been actually working with me and has been in close touch with me right through till today's session. So many thanks to you, Mr. Barik, and Mr. Abhishek Chakraborty, Organizing Secretary, who is also behind this session today. So I hope all of you, and many thanks to the participants who have joined in to attend this session today. I just hope that you find it useful. With this, let me go on to my presentation. And talking about the presentation, there'll be two parts to it. In the first part, we talk about I give an overview of the National Digital Library of India, how it works and what it is about like. And then we will run through the system once so that you get familiar with how you can handle the National Digital Library of India. So just give me a minute to upload my presentation. Can you see my screen? Mr. Barik, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So, the topic for the day is digitization and library, changing nature of reading habit and learning environment in the corona pandemic scenario. So, talking about this, I would first like to share some data with you. If you look at this the right-hand screen of the screen, this is regarding the monthly document views of NDLI, National Digital Library of India, which we normally call as NDLI in short. So, in terms of the document views, I have put in the data for the month from January to April of this year. In January, it was 3,14,000 views. February 3,34,000. And then in March, it suddenly jumped to 5,29,000. And if you look at April, it became 38,91,000. And if you remember the timeline, end of March, from around 24th, 25th, lockdown was announced. So people, suddenly all classrooms were stopped and people moved into online reading and learning. So that's why we see this jump in here. And then in April, it was complete lockdown throughout the month and everything was online. And you can see the jump has been more than 10 times from February and more than 7 times from March. This immediately shows the trend of learning during the pandemic session, which is the topic for the day. Here is some another view where we are looking at the daily document views. Here you would see generally it was more or less a stable graph, and then suddenly at the beginning of April we see a spike. And this is when we released our study from home collection version. We will look at this version later on during the presentation. So there was a sudden spike and the views went up. And again, at the end of April, there was another spike when we found when we released our COVID-19 research repository. So this whole thing will show how during the corona, how the online reading, online learning has shot up. And this was also very much highlighted in the press and social media, where they actually talked about National Digital Library reaching out to students amid COVID lockdown. Okay? And in fact, we also have Twitters from our HRD Minister, Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal, who mentioned how National Digital Library was actually helping the students during the corona. So, looking at this as the trend of learning and reading habits during corona or the pandemic session, let's now move on to my focus, which is the National Digital Library of India. National Digital Library of India, or NDLI as we keep calling it, this is a virtual repository of learning resources so that anybody can access it from anywhere at any time of the day. The project was, this is sponsored by the Ministry of Education, which is actually the MHRD, erstwhile MHRD, under the Government of India, under its NME ICT mission. The objective is, of course, to enable the users to find the right resources with the minimum effort, the shortest time, to a single window. So this NDLI, it actually is designed to hold contents in any language. Okay? It is supposed to cater to all levels of students, whether you go a school goer, a college goer, a researcher, or lifelong learner, to cater to everyone. It covers all kinds of domains, all departments. Then it can be accessed in all possible modes, and finally it is also supposed to cater to the differently abled users. So right now it has contents of more than 5.6 crore, and this is increasing every day. It has got materials in more than 300 languages. There are 330 plus sources who have actually shared their contents with NDLI, and we have more than 20 lakh users who are using it regularly. I mean, we have much more registered users, but just in terms of those who are using it on a regular basis, we have more than 20 lakh users. But why did we need NDLI at all? Now, in the year 2014, there was a review carried out by FICCI and MHRD on the infrastructure requirement for educating our younger generation or the students. Now, as we all know, India is fortunate to have a high proportion of the population at the younger age. And then it was found that with 1 million people turning 18 every month, India needed to have 6 universities and 270 colleges monthly to bridge the education divide. 6 universities and 270 colleges in a month, which is simply physically impossible. So that's when we thought of using digital technology to handle the situation. And that is when National Digital Library of India was thought of to provide a disruptive innovation to handle this challenge. Now, NDLI has 2 basic mottos behind it. One of them is inclusive. When we talk about inclusive means it should cater to all academic levels of students, whether we are talking about a class 1 or 2 student or a class 12 student. If we are talking about a college goer, somebody who's conducting his PhD thesis, a teacher, or even a lifelong learner or a lawyer, it should have materials for everyone. Okay, then it should have contents in all possible languages. Then India being a multicultural country where we talk of, where we have different cultures in different states, we talk in different languages across the states, and India has got 22 official languages to its credit. And so not everybody will be comfortable with English or Hindi or Bengali. So the plan is to have NDLI to be accessed in most of the popular local vernaculars. Okay, so local interface languages. Then it should have contents in all possible languages and in all possible media. So that means it's really including everything and everyone under this umbrella. And then we are saying it should be open. When we are saying it open, what we mean is it should be open to all. Okay? So it is free. It's free of cost. You do not need to pay anything to access NDLI. As long as you have an internet connection at home, and as long as you have a desktop or a laptop or a mobile with internet connectivity, so you should be able to access NDLI from the remotest corner of India. And then even the hardware that's used in it is also open hardware and software. So it is built on Linux, on DSpace, all of which are freely downloadable from the internet. So the idea is to provide a quality knowledge repository to anyone at any time, anywhere. So based on this motto, what do we have in NDLI? It's a massive national and international level repository of learning resources. One of the largest digital repositories of the world in terms of its volume. More than 5.6 crores, as I mentioned earlier, and it's increasing day by day. It's a 24/7 open to all digital library. When we say 24/7, we really mean it, because since this has been launched, it was officially launched in 2018 by the then HRD minister, but it was actually put to use much earlier than that. But since then, it has not, whether you talk of pandemic, you talk of Amphan, during any of these periods, NDLI has not been down any time. We have servers at IIT Kharagpur with a backup server at Kolkata. So between the two, we have always managed to keep it up and going anytime. That's why we can truly say that it is available 24/7. It's a single window search facility. That means if we are, let's say you are looking for a paper or a thesis maybe from IIT Bombay, or you want to look up a manuscript from the Jainpedia, Genealogy, or let's say you want to look up some storybook or Treasure Island or maybe some Shakespeare story from somewhere, you don't need to get into 3 different websites. All you need to do is log into NDLI, and through this single window, you can access IIT Bombay, or you can access Jainpedia, or you can access World eBook Library for your storybooks or any other requirement. That's why it's a single window search browse facility. It covers diverse academic and culture and heritage elements. It hosts multimedia contents. So if you're looking for text or maybe materials in videos or audios, for example, when we talk about lab experiments for school students, they would prefer to be shown in video mode. So videos, audios, simulation, all of these will be available in all these modes. You can see view NDLI contents. It is available, as I mentioned earlier. The plan is to have it to be accessed in all popular Indian vernaculars. So right now we have it in Hindi, Bangla, Gujarati, Marathi, Tamil, Kannada, Oriya, Telugu, Malayalam, and Assamese, and of course English. So you can just log into you can browse through using any of these languages, depending on your comfort level. Then facility available for institutes, organizations to disseminate e-contents. Okay, let me explain this a little bit. When we are talking about National Digital Library of India, it is not another library that it's not a new library that we are constructing, okay? Because that will be simply redundant. What we are doing is, there's plenty of libraries, online or digital libraries available all throughout India. So what we are actually doing is, we are bringing them all under a single umbrella, so that all of them can be accessed through the single window of NDLI. So that way, all these institutes and organizations whom we have integrated into NDLI and who have actually contributed their contents to NDLI, whom we call our partners, they are actually the heroes, and they have helped to build up NDLI. And in this context, I may also say that even your college, if you are willing and if you have materials, online materials that are hosted, we will be more than happy to integrate them onto NDLI for the benefit of all students who can access elements that have been developed just in Midnapore City College. And finally, there's nationally licensed contents, where I talked about free access of all materials that are available on NDLI. Now, there are some contributors, some publishers, for example, Springer. They are not ready to share their materials free of cost. And for all the right reasons, because they are in business. That is their revenue model. Now, there are some sources, for example, where, for example, Satyajit Roy Society, or let's say South Asia Archive, where the government of India has actually got into a national licensing with them. So there's a national licensing agreement between government of India and let's say Satyajit Roy Society, with the result that if a user is trying to access them through NDLI, they will get it free. But if they directly try to access South Asia Archive or World eBook Library or Satyajit Roy Society, it will be chargeable. So this is another important feature that NDLI has, that by providing free access to some of these exclusive sources and the materials from them. Like if you, for example, all the movies that Satyajit Roy has created, you talk about Jalsaghar, you talk of Opal Shamshar and all that, you will actually find all the designs. It is all his handwritten, hand-drawn sketches for each of these films that he created, which he designed before actually starting the shooting. It is really exclusive, and you have access to those if you register and log in through NDLI. So what are the different materials that you find in here? For example, there are materials for schools and schools. So all school board textbooks. When I'm saying all school boards, means it's West Bengal board, it is NCERT, CBSE, you talk about Orissa board, you talk of Rajasthan board, you talk of MP board. All these school board textbooks are actually here. Okay? So somebody can simply download them free of cost and study. Then you have question papers, model answers, everything here on NDLI. You talk about joint entrance questions, main, advanced. The questions are here, along with the model answers, solutions, everything. So all of these you'll get for schools. For colleges like you, there are faculty publications. You'll find a lot of the publications by the faculty from different institutes. Then thesis of, let's say, MSc, PhD, DSc, undergraduate research projects, they're all here. Books, periodicals, open access journals, a lot of these you will find, which will be of use to students of colleges like you. They can actually use this. We also have institutional and open contributions from other types of organizations. For example, I talked of Jainpedia. If you're interested in Jainology and Jain manuscripts, you'll find from here. You're looking for old newspapers like Amrita Bajar, Jugantar, you will find them in here. You're looking for manuscripts, you will find them here. So there are varieties of things that you can find in NDLI, and all you need to do is spend time and browse through them to really explore the treasures behind it. Metadata. Metadata, I think the library professionals, you would know very well. For the benefit of others, let me just say, these are actually information about any material, so that you can identify the material through these parameters. For example, let's say if I'm talking about a book, the metadata of it will be, let's say, the title of the book, the author or authors of the book, the subject, the publisher name, date of publication, the language in which the book has been written, and so on and so forth. Now, why are we talking of metadata? Remember when we talked about contribution from different institutions, which has actually been integrated into NDLI. When we talk about integration, we are not taking the actual materials or contents from the individual institutions. Okay. All we take is the metadata of these materials. We store the metadata in the NDLI servers. We save them, we index them, and whenever a user is looking for a particular item, for example, let's say a particular book, and he or she gives a search by giving the author name or the title name, we run him or her through this index of metadata, and once there's a match with his search, the user will be taken back to the actual source. So, if the book has been published by, let's say, for example, World eBook Library, it will take them to the World eBook Library. So, and they'll find that, okay, this is actually a book from this source. What are the benefits here? Number one, the user gets to see who are the actual owners. I mean, it proves the authenticity of the book. And if they have any queries, they can always get back to the actual source with their questions. And the other benefit is, of course, that there's no copyright violation. NDLI is not trading into the copyright of anybody. So the ownership of the material continues to remain with the source organization. So this metadata and how to structure, how to display them, that is very important in the design and development of NDLI. So what is the uniqueness of NDLI and how? So as we have already mentioned, it's a single window search and access for anybody from anywhere. No need for you to visit different sites for accessing different materials. It covers entire spectrum of learners, whether your school, as I mentioned, class 1 to class 12, from college to university, everybody. It can handle content of any language. Right now, we have more than 300 books in 300 more languages. Indian language user interface, as I mentioned, right now we have, other than English, we have 10 more user interfaces, and we are working on more of them. Personalization, this is important. NDLI can actually deliver to you something customized for your requirement. Okay, we will talk about this later when we do the walkthrough, and then it will be clearer to you what we mean by customization or personalization. And of course, collaborating learning environment where all the various institutions, organizations are sharing the materials. So right now we have more than 15,000 institutions who are participating in this. User base is more than 28 lakhs. In terms of contents, we have more than 560 lakhs of materials in different forms: video, audio, text, simulation, and so on and so forth. 300 plus languages, user interface languages 11, and sources are 330 plus as of now. And of course, we also had our share of recognitions. NDLI got the Gems of Digital Award in 2019 on e-governance. And we also got the M Billion in South Asia Award in 2017. These are some of the contributors. When we talk about contributors, these are only a few. You can see Microsoft, you can see Springer, and there are various IITs, CMFRI. We have all the CSI institutes, Shodh Ganga, all of them have contributed their materials or contents to NDLI. Access options. Okay. Now, this is important because you need to understand, if you're browsing through NDLI, you need to understand this. Now, while the objective of us is really to provide free access of all contents, as I mentioned earlier, there are some sources, some publishers who are not comfortable with giving you a free access. So, you will find one of these signs beside any of the materials that you access. If you see a sign like this is very obvious. It shows it's open. That means full text. Full text is available to all. You can download, you can print, you can do everything. For example, NCERT books. Then if you see a sign like this with an NDL written on it, this is only for NDL users. That means, as I mentioned, this is for the nationally licensed sources. So to access those free of cost, you need to log in into NDLI, and then you can get free access. For example, South Asia Archive. Limited access, if you find a sign like this. Only part of the text is available, but full text requires authorization by the source authority. Subscribed. Full text is available from institutions that have subscribed to the source. For example, Springer. So, for example, if I'm accessing it from IIT Kharagpur, and if IIT Kharagpur has subscribed to them, then all of them will get a free view. Others will have to subscribe to it. And then we also have some restricted view where you need to get an authorization by the source authority. You can write to them and they will give you a separate login ID, and through that login ID you can access it free again. For example, materials from IIT Jodhpur. So this shows just some of the numbers of a number of elements that are there for each of the different access rights. So for open, we have more than 3.46 crores are open and fully open. 7.79 crores are through NDLI. So basically open. If you all you need to do is log into NDLI, and then we have some of these the numbers in the other modes. So overall, more than 4.2 crores, which is about 75% of the total contents, which are open and free to be used for educational and research purposes. So I talked about the user interface in different languages. So this is in English. This you can see NDLI you can access through Bangla. This is in Hindi. This is in Marathi, and then you can see all these are now. It has changed into Marathi, and similarly you can get access in other languages as well, as I mentioned. NDLI is available as a web service, and it is also available on mobile. On mobile, it is available on Android as well as iOS. So this is the view for a web app, and this is the view for the mobile app. Okay. Study from home. If you remember, when in the first slide when we had looked at the document views, and we saw the first spike on the study from home version released. So initially NDLI had a different user interface, and as the setup of the pandemic, when we realized that people you have completely gone into the online mode. So to make life easier for the students, we completely changed the user interface for them. So we came up with something like this for study from home. So there is an icon for school, one for CBSE exam preparatory, because at that time, if you remember, CBSE exams were to happen. Engineering, science, humanities, literature, law and management. So that if a school goer, all he or she needs to do is just click on the school icon, and it will take them directly to all materials that are relevant to a school student. So they'll get all the books from all the different boards, all question papers, model answers, West Bengal JE papers, IIT papers, the answers, everything, solutions, anything to do with school goers, they'll get it from here. Similarly, engineering, science, each of them will give them all the materials relevant to them. So this made this life easier for all the users. Then we also came up with a COVID-19 research, another vertical. If you remember the next slide that we had seen, that was when we released this COVID-19 vertical, COVID-19 research, and this had all the peer-reviewed many publications that were put in here, so that the researchers who were actually working on COVID-19 research, they could actually get in here and consult all these papers. Then in terms of, let's say, funding, somebody was looking for funding for a joint VC, then they could look into here and get all kinds of, and get an access to all the possible funding. So this is another very data set that we set up for helping the COVID-19 researchers. And we came up with another vertical called featured collections, and this is one of my favorites. This is a very interesting vertical where we have some general attractions. For example, this year being the birth centenary of Satyajit Ray, we have one icon. If you click on this, it will immediately take you to all materials that are on NDLI, which are either on Satyajit Ray or by him. It will all take you to the Satyajit Roy Society materials. For example, as I mentioned, all the films, the designs that he had actually done, or write-ups from by many persons on Satyajit Roy as a person. On this day, this changes every day. And and this is very interesting, like you can really find out what happened on this. For example, today, Sri Aurobindo had passed away on this day, 5th of December, many years ago. Person of the week, we choose a person who had some connection during this week. For example, this week we have Robert Louis Stevenson. All of us are aware of Treasure Island and many other such stories. He passed away on December 3rd. That's why he's been nominated as the person of the week. All you need to do is click on this and you will find all his poetry and stories, everything on this icon. Topic of the week, we have Bhopal gas tragedy, if you remember, in 1984. On the night of December 2nd and 3rd, we had that infamous Bhopal gas tragedy, where we had a lot of people dying directly and a lot of people getting sick after that. So it was a very tragic incident. If you click on this, it will take you to all the materials, videos that may be there on Bhopal gas tragedy on NDLI. So overall, this featured collections is really interesting. It will really put you in touch with a lot of general materials on NDLI. So that is some kind of a walkthrough, some kind of an overview. Not that I have covered everything, but some of the important features I have covered. And then we will do a walkthrough of this so that you get to understand how you can access NDLI, how you can go about searching for an item or browse through NDLI. So this is the landing page of NDLI. As you arrive here, you see this. Now, how do you arrive here? You can either just type in National Digital Library of India on Google. The very first item on the sheet will be National Digital Library of India. So you can click on this, or you can directly type in https://ndl.itkgp.ac.in or www.ndl.gov.in, and it will take you to the NDLI landing page. So this is the landing page. Let's look at some of the features that we see on this. Here on top, on the left-hand side, we have a browse key and we have a search key. Here, you see this drop-down menu under language. This is where you can actually select the user interface language. So right now, we have English selected, so everything is in English. If you are comfortable with Bangla or Hindi or any other language, you can just click on that and it will immediately change the interface to that language. You have already seen some of the use of interfaces in other languages earlier. We have a login button on the top right-hand side. We have the search window in here. And of course, we have the entire study at home window. Now let's start from the first thing that you need to do is go into the login. Now, is login mandatory for accessing NDLI? It really is not. You can access NDLI, the materials, just by going in there and looking for a particular item. But if you remember, for the nationally licensed items, like Satyajit Roy Society or South Asia Archive or World eBook Library, these are accessible only if you have logged in through NDLI. So what we always recommend is you log in through NDLI. And for logging in, at the first stage, you have to do a register. It's all free. The beginning, you just do a register for the first time. And after that, it will be simply a login in every time. If you have clicked on register, you will get this a page that will open up. You fill in all the details. and then you click on this that I have read, understood, and agree to the terms and conditions. This is important. And then once you submit, you will be registered. Once you are registered, a verification link will come to your mail ID. Okay. Now, talking about this mail ID, again, here is a word of caution. When you are giving your mail ID, email address, please give one of your personal email IDs like Gmail or Rediffmail, something like that. Why? Because if you are right now you are in one particular institute A, and 3 years down the line you move to an institute B, and if you use your email ID from institute A, the official email ID, it will not work when you move into the institute B, right? So we always recommend that use your personal email ID, which will remain unchanged whether you change your institute or you retire or whatever happens. That will be always valid. So you, as I mentioned, for the first time you register, and then later on, every time you just need to put in your email address, your password, and the captcha, and then log in, and you will land into NDLI. Okay, so we are now into NDLI. We have logged in. You can see my name in here, so I have logged in here, and let's say I'm doing a search operation. So I'm searching for electricity. So I typed in electricity in here, and you see it has returned more than 45 lakhs of contents at this search. Okay, so it's simply not possible to really go through all the 45 lakhs. But the advantage of NDLI is you can really filter it down or customize it based on your requirements. So for that, how do we go about it? We have a set of filters on the left hand side, and we have a set of filters on the right hand side. So how do we use it? So let's say when I have typed in electricity, I've got this and so many materials, so many number of contents being returned. Now, what I'm doing is I click on the access restriction. When I click on access, remember the 5 types of access that we talked about, and I'm really interested in all the open and NDLI materials because these are all open and free. So I select these two, open and NDLI. Immediately, the results come down to 9 lakhs plus, right? But even this is very high. So what do I do next? Let's say I click on the author drop-down menu, and there are so many authors. And for example, let's say I want to I'm interested in the book by Nagendra Krishnapura, in all books on electricity by this author. See, it gives you 1068 results. Fine. So we have 1068 books by Nagendra Krishnapura on electricity. Okay. Similarly, let's say we have got access, and instead of author, I decide on a subject. There's a so I click on the subject category, and then I choose, let's say, natural sciences, and on this it will give me 1,21,000 books on which are relevant to electricity. Okay. Let's try to filter it down further. So let's say we choose the access restriction, we choose the subject, and now I click on the educational level. NDLI, as I mentioned, NDLI caters to all levels of students, right? From class 1 to school, 9, 10, 11, 12, college, and everyone. So let's say we have a student of class 11 or 12. So they click only on that. immediately we will get 3601 books results that are. Therefore, for 11 and 12, we have only 3601 books on electricity. Very good. So the list is so much lesser now. Okay. Now, let's say we have this source filter where it shows all the sources who have contributed books on electricity. We are still in electricity. See, we still have electricity here. So these are all the sources that have some or other material or dealing with electricity. Now, our student may be a student of the Board of Secondary Education, Madhya Pradesh. So he or she clicks on that, and then it immediately gives me 42 results. 42 results, that is really now under control. Okay, but we can still filter it down further. How? I click on the language drop down and it shows English and Hindi. So we have these books which are available, which are either in English or Hindi. So I select, let's say, Hindi. And then it shows me 32 results which are all in Hindi. So if you remember, we had so many lakhs, 42 lakhs or 45 lakhs right at the beginning results. And now it has boiled down to 32 results, where when I have actually put in my requirements that I'm a class 11 or 12 student, I'm looking for books in Hindi, I am looking for books from Madhya Pradesh, Board of Madhya Pradesh government, and so on and so forth. So from here now, a student can actually go through each of them and look at and read through them, and that will cater to his requirement. So this is what we mean by customization or personalization. We had talked about it right at the beginning, and this is what we actually meant by it. Now, there's also this on the right hand side also we have some filters. This is on content type. For example, let's say you are interested in only videos. You have students who like seeing videos. So to keep them interested, to keep them absorbed, the teacher therefore selects on, let's say, the open materials and selects video from here. And then they'll get 16,776 videos. You can have multiple selections and so on and so forth. This sign shows that they are videos. Okay. So that was all about search. So we have seen that we can search for a particular search item and we can filter it down based on our requirement. We can, for example, here we had chosen 11, 12 for a Midnapore City College. The students might just select UG and PG at the top, and they will get 61,000 books again, which can be filtered down further depending on the requirement. So that was about search. We also saw this key on the top left hand side, that is browse. So if you are just interested in looking at all the contents instead of a specific item, specific keyword, if you're interested in looking, like when you go to the library, you go through the catalog, all the different books. So there you go through the browse mode, and here if you're talking about browse, you can browse by type, by subject, by source, and by learning resource. What do we mean by type? For example, if you we have seen that if you're looking for a text or an audio or a video or a simulation, you can just select by type, and from there, from the drop down the menu, you can select the type that you are looking for. By subject, we know we have already seen the subject list. You can select your subject that is of interest to you. And in fact, there are 3 levels of search on subject. So you can actually select what you are looking for. By source, for example, you are looking for the materials from, let's say, Zoological Survey of India, ZSI. So you can click on the browse by source. It will give you all the, so it will show you all the sources. From there, you choose ZSI, Zoological Survey of India. It will give you all the contents, all the publications from just them. Or let's say you're looking for all the publications from IIT Bombay. So you select IIT Bombay, it will give you all the publications, maybe all the course materials, some of the courses that online courses that the faculty have delivered, all that will be shown. And finally, you have learning resource. If you are looking, for example, newspapers, old newspapers, or you're looking for manuscripts, or maybe you are looking for stories, or you may be looking for an article. So you can choose from this list when you're browsing by learning resource, and based on what you choose, you will get to see you'll get to see all the material, all the newspapers. For example, if you choose, you'll get all the newspapers, Amritabajar, Jugantar, and so on and so forth. So that is how you can go by the browsing. Study at home, we have already talked about. Okay, here, since we are talking about Midnapore City College, and as I heard the principal talking right at the beginning, you have students of science, humanities, and maybe paramedical and many other areas. So we can look at, for example, you can click on the science button in here. You will get to see, you'll get all these, so many sub-classifications under that. And again, you can choose any of those which are of interest to you, and you can find the actual materials. Most of these are NPTEL or SWAYAM courses, which are meant for undergraduate and postgraduate students. If you click on the humanities, again, you will get different sub-classifications, history, geography, sociology, so on and so forth. You click on each of them, again, you will get NPTEL courses and others, video lectures, books, questions, solutions from each of these classifications. Okay. So that's more or less about what we have, how you can search, how you can browse through NDLI and find out what you're looking for. In case you haven't logged in, okay, as I remember, you can actually browse through NDLI without logging in. If you haven't logged in, but you're looking for a source of a material from World eBook Library, it will immediately give you a message like this. Please log in to view this content. So then you go back and log in, and then it will give you access to the World eBook Library. So here is a short comparison between Google and NDLI. Now, when you look through NDLI, an immediate question can come to your mind is, we get all this from NDLI, from Google itself. I can also search by for electricity in Google. Why should I go into NDLI? What's the difference? Okay. NDLI provides you, while Google throws up thousands of random results, right? So if you're really looking for, searching for electricity, you get in terms of codes in Google. Whereas in NDLI, yes, here you are getting contents, data from some premium sources who have actually contributed to their items with NDLI. So that way you get a much restricted number, and which are actually exclusive ones, not really all general matters. And then narrow down results using filter options. In Google, you have no filter option, right? But in NDLI, we have seen you can actually apply filters in terms of your education level, in terms of the subject, in terms of access level, the resource level, learning resource type that you're looking for, video, audio, about the simulation, or just text, the language, whether you want books in Hindi, English, Bengali, whatever. You can make all these choices, and then finally you get a customized result based on your requirement. This is not available in Google. The modified search based on content type, as we have mentioned. National licensing, again, some of the exclusive sources which are generally can be accessed only on subscription, like Sujata Roy and others. These are available free of cost if you have logged in through NDLI. So that's why this is where NDLI has the advantage over Google. Okay. So now you know how to register, how to use NDLI, how to log in, and so on and so forth. Now, for an institution like, for example, Midnapore City College, at this point, it may so happen that not many of the students have registered into NDLI. Now, we have an option called bulk registration, where in one shot, you can have all the students registered into NDLI. For that, we would need a nodal person, and the nodal person is generally the librarian, who will send us, who will collect the information from all the students and then share it with us, NDLI. How? All he needs to collect is the email ID of a student, first name and last name. Only these three pieces of information. Save them in a .csv file. Okay? And then the librarian can send this list of 100, 200, whatever number of students to this ID, NDLI support at iitkgp.ac.in, with a copy to Ononnago this ID, and then we will be registering them all in one shot through a bulk registration mode. Once the bulk registration is done, an automated mail will go to each of the users. So within 48 hours, the user will need to actually verify the link. Just click on the verification link so that he is verified, and then he will be considered as a registered user on NDLI. So it will be something like this: the email ID, first name, and last name. Only this you need to collect. The librarian needs to collect in a sheet and save it in .csv. Along with this, it needs to the librarian would need to give us the other details. For example, full name of the college or university, full address, who is the nodal person, nodal person's contact details, and the principal's contact details. Once with all this information, we will be doing a bulk registration for all of you, and then you are ready to go to use NDLI. So that brings us to the end of my presentation. I think I am well within my 1 hour time limit, but I'm more than happy to take any questions that you may have. So at this point, let me stop sharing. And I'm back to my video mode, and I think we have time. Mr. Badi, do we have time to take 1 or 2 questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable speech. Ma'am, we have some questions from the participants. First question, ma'am. How can we download or access ebooks from the website of National Digital Library of India?
You log into National Digital Library of India the way I've seen, and then you, if you're looking for a particular ebook, you have the title, right title, you can search by that. Or if you know the source, who have actually created the ebook, you can browse by source, and then once you get into the source, you arrive at that particular item. It will show you all the materials from that source. You select the item that you are looking for, the ebook, and just click on it. It will open up. Then it will also show you the options for downloading or printing, whatever you want. You just have to search by that ebook name and title.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And ma'am, next question: are all the books free to access and download?
Okay, that's what I mentioned. You have seen through my slide. 75% of the books are freely downloadable and accessible and downloadable free. There are about 25% which will need either special authorization from the source, or you need to subscribe to get the access. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. And ma'am, no questions.
Okay.
Uh,
So I have also given my email ID. So at any time, if anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to send me an email and I will be answering them.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, it was my pleasure also addressing you and presenting to all the students and the other participants on the session. So thank you all. I just hope you have found it useful, and I hope you join NDLI and start using it for the actual benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Hello. Now I would like to welcome Dr. Nivedita Bhattacharyya Sahu. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah, very much. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Good afternoon, each and everyone present over here. Indeed, it's my great pleasure to be here amidst the August gathering.
So,
And yes, Ashish.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Now I would like to welcome Dr. Nivedita Bhattacharyya Sahu. Dr. Nivedita Bhattacharyya Sahu has completed her BLIs, MLIs and PhD from the University of Calcutta, Kolkata, India. A gold medalist at both BLIs and MLIs level. Dr. Bhattacharyya Sahu has completed 11 years in PG teaching. She is presently the assistant professor in Vidyasagar University, Midnapore, and West Bengal, India. Before joining Vidyasagar University, she was the University Research Fellow at University of Calcutta. She has authored a book, edited a volume, and published almost 35 research articles in reputed national and international journals. She has also delivered invited lectures on a number of occasions in state level, national and international conferences, and has a good number of papers presented in conferences. She has been the principal investigator in 2 projects founded by the University Grant Commission and Indian Council of Social Science Research. She is the recipient of Southeast Asian Subsistence Fellowship for scoring highest marks in BLIC exam in 2006 and Young Information Scientist Award from Society of Information Science, India in the year 2010. Her domains of interest mainly are reference sources and services, information products and services, communication service, and bibliometrics. Now I would request ma'am to take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashish, for such an elaborate introduction. So indeed, it was not very much needed, I think. So, and I must really thank the organizers to organizing team members, all organizing team members who have taken this very pertinent and relevant topic of this time, that is digitization and the library, changing nature of reading habit in the corona endemic environment, pandemic environment. That is, let me first present the screen over here. I'm going to start with the screen first. Just a minute, I'm going to share the screen, you all. Is the PPT visible? Ashish, is the Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, very good afternoon, all of you. And for this particular webinar, I'm going to speak on this area, that is the changes in the reading habit before, during, and after the COVID-19 pandemic. So all of us are into a very, I think, a very grave situation. This running all over the world. We are facing this grave situation of COVID-19, and indeed, it has been to a standstill now. That we have been into the standstill situation due to COVID-19 from March 2020 onwards in India, particularly, and all over the world. They have seen a huge loss everywhere. We have seen huge losses. And we are recovering slowly and slowly, but we have lifted the lockdown period and all. So for this particular webinar topic, that is, I have selected, that is the changes. I have tried to find out what are the changes that the entire world is facing as per for this the reading habit scenario. Okay. So before going into the main thing, let us first of all think of what were the games in the 20th century. I think actually people middle-aged like me, or beyond that too, they will agree by seeing the screen itself that what were the games we in the childhood we were involved into. You can see the 4 pictures of the childhood games that in the 20th century, the people, that is the who were born in the 20th century, who have seen the 20th century as such, we can say. So they can very well see and remember that what were the games of the 20th century. And after that, just after that, you can face whoever have kids or no kids, that is whoever have, who is facing this situation. You can just compare the situation of the 20th century to that of the 21st century. The game scenario also, you can say that it has entirely changed. What we were doing or what we were doing outside, how in outdoor games we were playing. Now the children of today, of the children of this age, they are all confined to the indoor games, and that too on basically on some gadgets. They are dependable on some gadgets. They are just taking the gadgets into their hands and playing some of the games. So the game scenario has changed, that we can say. And unlike the game scenario, so the game scenario has changed. Can you please can you agree with me that unlike this, the game scenario has changed, and also the reading habits has also changed. In 1916, you can see that people standing in the roads and they were taking some book or taking some newspaper in their hands and reading. But now in 2016, this is a picture of 2016, or beyond that also now in 2020 we are. So that you can see they are using the gadgets to find out the news items, to find out some books, or to find out some reading material in their hands. So entire scenario, you can say that the game scenario has also changed, and how we are reading or how we are just practicing our reading, that is also changed during this period of time. So we can say one thing here, that change is the only constant. We can remember that very old proverb, that change is the only constant. Now, reading habits. There are some paradigm shifts in the past. So we can say that for thousands of years, long before the Gutenberg invented the printing press, access to written sources like scrolls, historical recordings, or books in order to get the information was considered as luxury. Before that, it was just considered as a luxury. It was a play, or it was all for the royal kings and their disciples, and nobody else could access the printed document. And books, they were copied by hand in a painstaking process before most were lost to the wars, natural disasters, or neglect. So before we have lost, that is, they were lost, they were mostly copied, and scribes were there who used to write down the books. And lots and books were written, handwritten books. We can say the handwritten manuscripts. We can remember of the manuscripts. And however, the Gutenberg's revolutionary invention in the 15th century revolutionized the way books are reproduced, and along with it, people's reading habits changed. So right from the 15th century onwards, when Gutenberg, they have given this invention, that is the revolutionary invention of the printing press, they have shown that is the books are reproduced, and along with it, the people's reading habits have also changed. Before that, the people were not allowed to read in that free sense, we can say. They were only the royal kings, they were only the royal disciples who were made, given the opportunity, we can say rather, that given the opportunity to have some reading materials in their own hands. Now, the major revolution in the 21st century. What is the major revolution in the 21st century? Due to the digital technology, we can say we are facing another such revolution in the 21st century. All of us are very much clear about this digital revolution, definitely. And like the printing press did, technological blessings like the internet, smart boards, tablets, and e-readers are once more reshaping our reading and learning habits entirely. Actually, previously we didn't have these tablets or these smart boards or the internet facilities, and this unlike the printing press, how it has changed, that is the scribes, they have lost their jobs, we can say. Like that only, this technological revolution, that is the internet, the smart boards, the tablets, and the e-readers, they have also reshaped the reading and the learning habits of the people. And one of the key things that have changed as a direct consequence of the advancing technology is our way of obtaining the new information. How we can obtain the new information. That has the major change that has been observed here. And hundreds of resources can be accessed on almost any subject with just a click of a button and by using the search engines. That we are very much sure that we can get lakhs, thousands and thousands. My previous presenter, Sujata ma'am, she has very well explained the uses of NDLI and how we can just get lots and lots, millions and millions of things by just the click of a mouse by sitting in our homes. So that is the hundreds of resources can be accessed on almost any subject with just a click of the button and by using the search engines. Therefore, the time you would need just to find resources in a library could actually be enough to find, examine, and critically analyze the same information. So, unlike the previous days, when there was no opportunity for such a search, we had to sit in the library to collect our resources. Days and days we have to sit in the library, we have to copy the resources with our own hands. Now we have the opportunity to just click it and with the click of the mouse, and after that, if we have the download option, we can just go to the download, we can keep it in our system, and afterwards also we can consult it according to our time. So this is the major change that has been observed. What is the reason for the changes in the reading habit? Let us go for the reasons. What is the reason that is that we are facing these changes? The Kindle, as all of you know, it was launched in US on November 19, 2007. We are heading a new revolution in digital reading. Actually, it was launched in 2007 and it gave a basic tremendous revolution in the digital reading. And Amazon made the device available in India in 2012. Only in 2012, we got this from Amazon. India had launched its own set of e-readers. Infobim Spy hit the market in the early 2010 and EC Media's Wing was launched later that same year. Neither could really make their mark though, and with the gradual rise of smartphones and tablets, both exited the market before 2012 rolled around. So after that, we have seen that is India, they have also launched some of the e-readers like Infobim Spy or the EC Media Wing, but they have lost their existence. Only after the revolution or after the introduction of the smartphones and the tablets, they just left the market before 2012. And then in August of 2012, Amazon first made the Kindle available in India at the starting price of $6,999. It's a very cheap also, we can say. That is, they just gave it, that is at a price of $6,999, that is almost 7,000. And before that, Indians looking to own a Kindle had to have the device internationally shipped and sometimes pay up to $80 in shipping and import fee deposits alone. The Kindle's entry into the Indian market meant that the movement had well and truly reached us. By November, Flipkart too started selling its own ebook. And gradually we can say that with this introduction of these digital technologies actually the habits that the bookworms, we can call the bookworms, we can say that the book lovers, they also slowly they have, many of them have started their inclination to use these digital gadgets to find out their book reading materials. And the self-publishing market, that is, grew as budding authors could now easily upload their works on platforms like Skype, Wattpad, Smashwords, and Amazon's digital text platform. So this publishing market, they grew as a budding authors could easily upload their works on the platforms, on these platforms. Now let us go to some of the true facts about the publishing industry. So what is the basic true fact about the publishing industry? We can say that there are much higher discounts in the online purchases. If you are very familiar with the online purchases of books or other reading materials, you can say, then you can see what high discounts we are getting when we are going for the online purchases, unlike the physical copies that we are buying from the vendors. So very high discounts are there for the online purchases. Second is, that is enough discussion and praise for the books in the review section. So all of us, when we are going for an online purchase nowadays, we just go through the reviews. We just go through the, be it of any type of product, be it a washing machine, be it a telephone, be it a mobile phone, be it any other electronic gadgets, whatever it is, actually we go with the review section. And when we find a better review, when we see a better review and better discussion for the product, then only we are inclined to buy that product. And that is also true for the publishing industry. Third is that people look for book suggestions from Amazon or Goodreads. Basically, book suggestions, they also appear when you are searching for a single book, a type of book. Suppose you are searching for a single type of book, then that type of book, other types, that is that type of book, similar types, type of book is given. The suggestions are given for that book, that you can go for this, that. We can say that we can co-locate those books. We can co-locate the books once we go to Amazon for purchasing, and there are very good suggestions also. Sometimes shifting from a time-rich and cash-poor economy to a cash-rich and time-poor one, most people don't want to risk spending time reading a book they may not like. So this is another criteria that is we have been seeing in the publishing industry. That is, there is a huge shift from the time-rich and the cash-poor economy. They had there was time and but there was no money. There was no money. Now people have the money, but they don't have much time. So this risk they are taking, they are just going through the net, they are consulting the online section, and they are going to purchase the book or read the book online. So that is the general tendency of the people that has been observed. And the publishing industry has also seen that. Retail sales began to dip drastically as online sales grew. This is another true fact about the publishing industry. So it has been drastically dipping. The sales in retail has drastically dipping, and online sales are growing. The last decade was clearly dominated by academic publishers, books that cater to India's twin passions, that is education and job security. Non-academic publishing or trade publishing is minuscule in comparison. Actually, last decade it was dominated by the academic publishers, basically the education and the job security, that the books, those covered those issues, they were into demand in the last decade. So second, all the large publishers are privately owned in India. That is another true fact in India. So they don't have to publish financial data. Whatever we are having, that is, they don't have to publish that financial data. So we have to rely on hearsay to assess how many books are sold in the country, how much revenue is generated, and so on. That we have to rely. Anyway, we have to rely on that. Third, there are thousands of registered independent publishers across languages, and most of them are single person operations. So many registered independent publishers are there across the languages, and most of them, they are single person operations. That is also seen. That is, anyone, a single individual, he or she is at the top of that publishing. And finally, there is no definition of bestseller. If the publishing industry has as many bestsellers as is claimed on social media, then this would be the most successful industry in the history of capitalism. So one may call it as a bestseller, but many other people may not like it. So publishing industry, they actually, whatever they claim, that is not every time true. That is not every time true. But unlike this, people like us, we believe that that is the bestseller, so we have to go for that book. So if here we find the cover interesting, then we go for that book. And that makes it the bestseller basically. So these are some of the true facts about the publishing industry. Now, there is an agency, that is Statista, which is a German company, we can say, specializing in the market and the consumer data. So what they are doing, they are doing these market surveys, and from their survey in 2012, in November 2012, they have a survey on which is your favorite source of entertainment. They have taken about 2006 respondents of the age group 14 to 75 in India, and they have made a survey for that. What is your favorite source of entertainment? They have asked people about the favorite source of entertainment. And we can say very astonishingly, that is about 51%, both 51% results, they claimed that using the internet for social or personal interests is the favorite source of entertainment. Watching television is another favorite source of entertainment. Only third came, that is the other second, we can say, both are 51%. 46% of them said that reading newspapers, either printed or online. They said that reading newspapers, either printed or online, is their favorite source of entertainment. Another one related to the reading is, that is reading books, either physical books or via an e-book reader online. 26% said that reading books, either physical books or via an e-book reader or online, and 26% said that reading magazines, either printed or online. Rest others, they said either listening to radio, going to the movies, playing video games, and that source. So we can see that no, reading is not the favorite source of entertainment. Reading is not the favorite source of entertainment. And I think that basically the people, most of the people, at least in India, we can say that they are bound to be inclined to some other sources of entertainment. And it's very much clear also from the survey that they have made in 2012 itself. Now, this is some quick navigation by the same Statistica. And they have seen that the e-book segment is expected to show a revenue growth of 16.2% in 2021. They have made a survey, that is this forecast, they have adjusted this forecast in July 2020, and they have seen that only in 2021 there will be a revenue growth of 16.2% or in the e-book sector, in the e-book industry. And reading supports, if we can say, that is revenue in the e-book segment is projected to reach US dollars 214 millions in 2020. They have said that US dollars 2020 in to 214 millions, they will reach the revenue in the e-book segment will reach to 214 million US dollars in 2020. That is another thing that they have found from their surveys, and that is made by Statistica in July 2020, that is during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, what is the scenario of the users? Users, they are saying that is the number of users is expected to amount to 126.4 millions by 2025. That is number of ebook readers, they are saying, that is ebook segment actually. The number of users is expected to amount to 126.4 million. That is after the pandemic, that is during these years, by 2025, they are saying that it will rise to 126.4 million. And you can say, see here, the penetration rate, user penetration in the ebook segment. they have claimed that it will be at 6.8% in 2020. 6.8%. It was 4.4% in 2017, 5% in 2018, 2019 it was 5.7, and gradually they are saying that it will just increase. After that, you can see the curve. You see how it is rising, 6.8, 7.6 in 2021. They are just making a prediction by going through the market surveys. 8.3% in 2022, 8.6% 23, like that. So they are saying that user penetration in the ebook segment will increase. Gradually they will increase over the years. And it has been seen in the trend also. Now, what is the age? Users by age. They have seen, or they have claimed here, that is in the year 2020, a share of 41.7% of users is 25 to 34 years old. So that is the middle-aged population, 25 to 34 years old. And they are saying that this reading support will be given to 41.7% of the users of this age, particular age group. That is the highest. 25 to 34 years of age, that is the highest readers that we are finding for the ebooks. Users by gender. Here again, the male population is dominant. That is, a share of 64.7% of users is male and only 35.3% is female. That is also claimed by them that in 2020, ebook readers, ebook users will be 64.7% users will be male users in that sense. Now, what is the users by income? According to the income level. So you can see the blue line, that is the blue graphical representation in the blue area, that is low income group 23%, medium income 40%, and high income 37%. So high income to medium income, the difference is very less, but still medium income group, they will have a greater share of users in the medium income group. We will have the greater share of users using the ebooks of the medium income group, that is 40%. Now, this is the global comparison, that is revenue comparison in $1 million, and US tops the list with US $6498 million, and top 5 nations you can see, that is United States, Japan, China, United Kingdom, and Canada. And India's position there, as per the ebooks usage, India's position is 10th. They are generating the revenue to US $214 million. That is the seen from the results that India is using generating revenues for only $214 US. Now the sources of the book consumption among Indian consumers in 2019, just before the pandemic. So here it has been seen that the purchase of the physical copy is 28.9%. Only physical copy you can see that only 28.9% they have purchased the physical copy of the books. And download of the ebooks and read offline, only 71 actually, it is 71% people, they have downloaded ebooks and read the offline material. So you can see that already before the pandemic, unless it is unlike it is the pandemic or no pandemic, the change has already begun. The change has already begun. People are now more inclined, we can say. People are now more inclined towards the ebooks, e-reading, than that of the physical copies of the book. That has already been seen in 2019. Statistica, they have made this survey and they have released the survey in the July 2019. Survey time was between May 12 to May 29th, 2019, and the number of respondents were 500 respondents. Age group of that population was 18 years and older. That means the adult population. So they are inclined towards the ebooks, downloads, and reading them offline. Now, if this is the situation, then my friends, can you say or can you just imagine that what is the number of internet users in India from 2015 to 2020? And they have made a forecast until 2025. So this you can see that number of internet users, that is also showing a rising trend. In 2015, it was 302.36 millions. And from that, it has shown a rise, steep rise, we can say. And in 2020, if you can observe here, if you can see here, that is, it is 696.77 millions. So internet users, that has also tremendously increased during these years, and it will increase more. In the forthcoming years, it will increase more, and that is a forecast from the Statistica. So now, number of mobile phone internet users in India. So what is the number of mobile phone internet users in India from 2015 to 2018 until 2023? That has also shown a rise. So internet, you can say, is now the buzzword. Actually, it is the buzzword. If no internet, and during this tremendous situation, if we would have been homebound, just then we would have wasted much more of our time than what we have wasted during this. So basically, that is number of mobile phone internet users in India from 2015 to 2018 has also shown a tremendous rise. It was 242.92 in 2015, and in 2020 it is 448.2 millions. So that is a huge rise. And also it will rise more and more. It has been predicted that it will rise more during the after years. Now, which countries read the most? That is another interesting question that I have found here. That is, which countries read the most? Hours spent reading per person per week. Here, I am very proud to announce here that India, I have found that India, it is highest. That is the hours spent reading per person per week. In India, it is highest, that is 10.42. Hours spent, that is 10 hours 42. So that is a very good thing, I can say. That is, Indian people, they are good at reading, they love to read. And definitely after that, after India, we have Thailand, then China, then Philippines. US is much below. US here is much below. They are only 5.42. And Australia 6.18. UK is below that, 5.18. So reading, if we compare the reading habits of people, that is quite impressive, I can say. That is, they spend reading per person per week, that is most in India. Now, how the reading habits have changed during the COVID-19 lockdown? This is another interesting question. How they have changed? On October 6th, 2020, The Conversation, a newsletter from Australia, they reports on a survey with 860 participants. They have made this survey with 860 participants, and they are explaining the survey like this, that is reading frequency. Now, respondents generally reported that they were reading more than usual. They said that they are reading more than usual during this lockdown time, and this was largely due to having more free time, due to being furloughed and not having to commute or to usual social obligations or leisure activities. Actually, people, they have enough time, they had enough time spending time for reading, and that's why the reading frequency has developed or improved. Many people with children reported that their reading time had increased generally because of their shared reading with children, but had less time than normal for personal reading. So this is another interesting thing that I have observed. That people, they are now engaged with their children in the reading time. Previously, they were personally busy with their own work, office work. They had to go to the office, they had to attend the office, they had to go out for other duties and all. But as they are homebound now, so they are more attached with their children. They help their children in learning, reading, and also read with them rather than the personal reading they have seen from this survey. Third is that is people spend more time reading, but the volume they read was less. This may be due to the lethargic activities of people actually. So they spend more time during the reading, but the volume they have read is less than that, they have said. So very interesting survey this is, I found. And regarding the genre choices, despite the early figures showing spikes in interest for content about pandemics and isolation, it appears that people quickly tired of these topics. So this is a survey you can see of October 6, 2020. And in India, at least we started from March. In China and other nations, that is, they have started from December 2019 itself. So basically, by this time, they have lost the interest in the pandemic and isolation. It seems that they have read much about it. And now they are showing interest in other topics. Many respondents sought out subject matter that was least predictable, if not necessarily comforting. They are inclining themselves towards the other subject areas rather than just keeping inclined into the pandemics and the isolation. And many found the lockdown to be a great opportunity to explore things they didn't normally have the time or desire to read or to fill other gaps in the knowledge. Actually, what they found is that it is a great opportunity that they didn't normally have the time before, or they desire to read or fill the gaps of the knowledge. Basically, they are filling up the gaps of the knowledge, and that has been reported in that particular survey. Another thing is the rereading habit. Much as with the choice of genre, readers generally fell into two camps. Those that read for exploration and those that reread for safety. Basically, they read for exploration. Either they explore the things, they want to explore the things, and that's why they read, or either they read it for safety. They have already read it, and again they read it for the safety purpose. And they have also mentioned that the rereaders found solace in previously read books, familiar plots, and known emotional registers help stressed out readers avoid suspense and the surprises. So they can avoid the suspense and the surprises by reading again and again, and rereading as a very common phenomenon that has been observed during this period. Unsurprisingly, lockdown also made rereading a physical necessity for some. So physical necessity has also been a physical necessity for some people. Some respondents noted how they were unable to visit the library or browse at the bookshop for new books. Actually, many of them, those who are dependent on the physical books, physical copies of the books, they were unable to visit the library during this time, or they could not go to the bookshop for the new books, and therefore whatever stuff they had at their home, they started reading them again and again. Others reported that they simply wished to save money, on the other hand, the participants who reported rereading less than normal during the lockdown period wanted to use their newfound time to seek out new topics and genres. So basically, there are three categories, we can say, of the readers who are unable to visit the library. They reread the things. Others, they just wanted to save their money. And still others who reread less than the normal during the lockdown period. They wanted to use their newfound time to seek out new topics. So this is the three things in the rereading cases as reported. Now, what is the situation of India? What is the readers' situation in India during this pandemic? A survey made by Nielsen Book India that was published on July 15, 2020. What is the coronavirus impact? They tried to find out what is the coronavirus impact on the readers during this pandemic. The Indian market is among the world's most complex with its many languages, huge territory, and a population of 1.4 billion people. There's a huge population, there are so many languages, there's a huge territory, and it was most complex, we can call it. It's the most complex environment that we are living. 6 out of the 10 respondents expect to buy books through physical stores, and 7 out of 10 through an online bookshop after the lockdown is lifted. This is very interesting, you see. 6 of them out of 10, they expect that is to buy the books through the physical stores. And 7, they claim that they will go for an online bookshop after the lockdown is lifted, with the proportion higher than before lockdown in each case, but more so for online than in store. This is also seen. That is Nielsen Book India, they have made this survey and they have found out that people are inclining towards the buying of the e-books or e-purchases or online purchases. Because now the reading and or the audiobook listening time is up. This is another report published by the Nielsen Book Research on India. That is, before lockdown, respondents read books or listen to audiobooks for an average of 9 hours per week. Before lockdown, what they did, that is average 9 hours they spent. While 1 in 4 have not increased their book consumption since lockdown, 3 in 4 have increased their reading time. 4 out of the 4 people, 3 have increased their reading time. Most commonly claiming to read for over 2 hours extra per week. This means, on average, books are now being read for additional 7 hours a week. So that is interesting and that is very inspiring also. That is a good thing also, that they have increased or they have added the reading hours now. So you can see here that it was previously 8.9 hours. That is the time spent reading books or audiobooks before lockdown, 8.9 hours. Extra time reading the books or audiobooks since the lockdown. What is the extra time they are spending? In addition to the 8.9 hours, that is 7 hours. So that is again interesting thing. Now what is the impact? Again, more than 2/3 of Nielsen's respondents say they are consuming more books since the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi government initiated lockdowns with only 4 hours notice in March. They have said that they are consuming more and more books since the lockdown started. Both the reading and the audiobook listening are up, increasing by a substantial 7 hours weekly on average to as much as 16 hours total per week. So both reading and the audiobook listening, they are up and they are increasing by a substantial 7 hours weekly. 2 of the 5 respondents say they are spending more time with print titles. They are spending more time with the print titles. So that is another report. And 1 in 2 respondents say they are spending more time reading ebooks and listening to audiobooks with women in the lead in the digital format. This is another interesting thing that I have found from the Nielsen's report. That is, 1 in the 2 respondents say they are spending more time reading ebooks and listening to audiobooks with women in the lead in the digital format. Now, this is the graphical representation, you can say, of the 2/3 of respondents like to read both international as well as the Indian authors equally. They are reading the international as well as the international and Indian authors. That is 65%, we can say, that they have equally liking for the Indian authors as well as the foreign authors. 1 in 11 respondents said they prefer Indian authors, while 1 in 4 prefer international authors. So only 1 among the population or among the criteria, they have said that they have basically they are interested in they prefer the Indian authors, while 1 in the 4 prefer the international authors. Now, what is the impact, coronavirus impact, that is on the readers in the pandemic? Indians then not have to change their fiction reading interest since the outbreak of COVID-19. And with both sexes more interested in crime or thrillers and literary or classic fiction alongside the historical fiction, men and romance, women. And historical or political biographies followed by self-help or personal development and self-study, that is learning new languages, etc., are the most popular among non-fiction readers. You can see the popularity in the reading. Historical or political biographies followed by self-help or personal development and self-study. They are the most popular among the non-fiction. And respondents with children aged up to 8 are especially likely to have changed their general interests when buying for children since the outbreak of COVID-19, with increased interest in picture books, activity books, and animal stories. So that is another interesting thing, because children, that is those with children aged 9 to 17 are more interested in buying spy or detective or mystery stories, fantasy and classic stories. Such interesting results you see that the children, those who are having children up to 8 years of age, they are basically inclined in or interested to buy picture books or activity books or animal stories to keep their children confined in the books. And those with the children aged 9 to 17, they are interested in the spy or detective or mystery stories. This is the changes that has been noticed or that has been seen during the Nielsen Book India report. And the generational distinction in this digital and the print consumption. Here also one interesting result I have observed. That is younger generation, that is whose age group is below 34 years, comparatively tend to spend slightly more time on print books. Isn't it interesting? They are spending more time on print books, while older generations, that is age group 35, above 35, tend to spend slightly more time reading e-books before and after lockdown. Both before and after lockdown, they are more inclined towards the reading the e-books. Unlike the younger generation, those who are showing their interest on the printed books. So you can see from the graphical representation, that is about the printed books and the e-books. That is how the younger and the that is age group that is marked with the green age group less than 34 and blue with the age group greater than 35. That is, we can say, and each time you can see a slight high thing is noticed during and before and after the pandemic. So in case of the that is younger generation, they are spending slightly more time on the printed books or printed documents. Now, again, another thing, that is recommendations from friends and our relatives, followed by media articles and our reviews and general browsing on bookseller websites were the most influential factors on discovering books pre and post lockdown. Actually, it is the recommendations from the friends or the relatives, followed by the media articles and or the reviews and the general browsing, that is influencing the discovering the books pre and the post lockdown. And female readers are more likely than men to seek out recommendations from friends or relatives and read media articles and or reviews. So female persons, they are more likely than men to seek out recommendations from friends. Male readers like to discover books by browsing on bookseller sites and looking at bestseller sections. So men, they are basically browsing the bookseller sites and looking at the bestseller sections, and then they are going for the purchase. Now, returning to the bookshops after the lockdown. What is the July 2020 report? Now we know that the lockdown has been lifted already. So July 2020, Nielsen Book Research India, they have said that while only a small percentage had already visited a bookshop since lockdown has eased, more than 2/3 say they would happily visit a physical bookshop within 3 months after the lockdown. After the lockdown, they said that they will take 3 months to visit the bookshop physically. So only 6% they have already visited since the lockdown and eased. Within 1 month, they have said that 45% will visit. Within 2 months, 15% will visit. Within 3 months, 10%, and like that. So basically, from all buying from the physical shops before or after the lockdown has been depicted here. Now there is a question. That is the library needed to promote the reading habit? As we are talking about the reading habit today, so there is a question in my mind, that is the library needed to promote the reading habit? My answer is definitely yes. Why yes? These are some of the reasons for that. Everything is not on the internet. Everything is not there on the internet. Any of you can challenge me and say that, no, ma'am, it is not true. Everything is there on the internet. But no. Actually, whatever we are searching, we are getting millions and millions of results within seconds, within just nanoseconds. In just a blink of an eye, we are getting numerous results. But how many of them are authenticated, friends? How many of them are authenticated? How many are to the point? Can you please realize that? That whatever information you are searching for, are you getting that pinpointed information every time, each and every time? Is it the situation? So everything I can say that it is not there on the internet. The internet, moreover, is not organized. This is another thing that I have, over the years, I have observed. It is not organized. Every time, whatever we are searching, it is not giving us the organized results. Only the librarian can give us the organized documents. They can hand over the organized things to us. So internet is not at all organized. And that is why we need to go to the library to develop our reading habit. Because if we are not getting an organized document and we are spending hours in front of our machines, just taking no help from any library, then definitely at the time it will come that we will be frustrated with our searches. There will be no proper searching and we will be frustrated and we will leave it. So that is the thing. I think that therefore library is the ultimate need for developing the reading. The internet does not have quality control. This is another thing. Quality control. They have many other things, but every time they don't have the quality. We say that this, I'm just not naming now, just but we can say that you can avoid these sites. They don't give us the quality. But the librarian himself or herself can guide the users to give the quality products as and when they need them. Sources on the internet are harder to identify. This is another thing. This is very much, it is very hard to identify those things. Whatever, there are millions and millions of things, I said, no, immensely. But what is the proper identification? How much we can identify from them? Library online resources are available 24/7. So that is, therefore we need the help of a library. Their online resources. Yes, open access resources, definitely. But all of us are not master in searching out every open access resource. A true subject specialist, a librarian, can guide us to find out those resources. And if they are open 24/7, so they can guide us to the proper resource. That is the right resource at the right time. And that is the very much need. And basically for the students, this one statement is that is we are paying the tuition and the fees pay for the library use. Definitely. As you are into the college goers, or here some university students may be there, high school students may be there, whoever, you are paying the tuition fees, friends. So why not use the library? At the end of the year, you have to pay again. So why don't you use the library? Why don't you go and use the library and develop your reading habit? Most of all, we are finding the peace in the library, basically. It's a calm and quiet environment. It's an environment, it's a soothing atmosphere in the library. And definitely if we go and visit the library and use the library, then definitely we will be benefited. And definitely if we sit within the library premises, we can have a better reading habit, as there will be no disturbance from outside. Also, trained professionals are available for the assistance. This is for the librarians. They are very much trained, indeed very much trained, having the postgraduate degrees, having the sometimes 2 postgraduate degrees, 2-3 postgraduate degrees, net set qualified, whatever not, done their PhD degrees, done their doctorate. They are the subject specialists. And as they are basically handling the resources, so they are the ones who would guide you to the best resource. They can guide you to the best resource. Whatever is available, they can just guide you to the best thing. So they are the trained professionals. And definitely the e-books are available in the library. That is another situation. Not only the physical copies, e-books are also available. You can just go and search inside the library and read. You can just have a remote access facility, which is very much needed for this hour. And indeed, it's a great pleasure here for me to announce this, that all or most of the libraries I know personally, they have made their resources online during this pandemic situation. They have given the remote access facility. They have made all their resources open, most of their resources open. And that is the demand from the users. And for the benefit of the society also, that is very much needed. So indeed, it is, we can say, I can say, you can say also that library is very much needed to promote the reading habit. If there is the pandemic, if there is no pandemic, before the pandemic, after the pandemic, during the pandemic, whatever it is, to grow the reading habit, we need the assistance of the library, and the librarians alone, they can just guide. From the very childhood, we have learned that if you are into the library, you are having thousands of lamps open in front of you. And just if you are having the right librarian in front of you, then you can develop this reading habit right from the childhood. So please, it's an urgent request to all of you, those who are having kids at home, take your kids to the library. Not, if not possible, just now, after the pandemic, just we are developing, we are improving the situation, we are gradually improving. Next year or so, we may just we physically visit the library or visit the places of interest. And definitely, reading habit is one thing that can be just improved from the very childhood. Those who are developing this habit of reading, they can continue it in the future too. So with this, I finish my talk here. Thank you very much. Thank you all. And I'm just finishing my presentation and closing it. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for your dynamic speech. Ma'am, we have some questions from the participants. Ma'am, first question, what is view on the conflict between printed books and free PDF version of those books?
Please repeat. I missed the first part of the question. It was a voice. The voice was not clear.
Yes, ma'am. What is your view on the conflict between printed books and free PDF version of those books?
No, there is no conflict. No such conflict is there. Actually, free PDF version, what you are getting of those books, if you are getting the full content, it's okay. But sometimes what we are finding is that is they are missing the pages. We are going through the pages. Suppose we are reading the first 10 pages, 8th page is missing, or 10th page is missing. That is tiresome. That is definitely tiresome for us. Definitely the reader, once he or she is handling the book, if he is having the physical copy, he can have all the pages. Simultaneously, he can go through the pages. But if there is the PDF, free PDF, and we are missing with the pages, then definitely it will, the readers will just have a very tiresome effort on their part, and they will lose the interest on that. That is the only thing. That is the conflict we can say for that. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. And ma'am, next question. What is Nelson rule?
Yes, what is? Oh, actually, it is actually the survey. It is a survey. Nelson, it is actually a survey. They are doing the survey for the readers' report. They are going with the survey. You can go and search with the search in the Google itself. You can go and search with the Nelson's survey reports, and you can find out a very good survey about the readers in that.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. And next question, ma'am. Last. Do you not think that though corona pandemic has stimulated digitization, it has also affected negatively the students who cannot afford smartphones, laptops, and even internet?
Definitely, I agree with this. And during this entire period, we have actually faced this particular situation when we have started with our online classes in April 2020. Actually, in our remote villages, basically we have students from Paschim and Midnapore districts. And definitely they are living in very remote areas also. Many of them are living in very remote areas, remote places. They don't have a proper smartphone in their hands. And that's a very great problem that they are facing. That is the tremendous situation. Definitely we agree with that. And always we just pray. I personally pray to God every day, each and every day. Let us go physically to the classes. Let us face our students physically. Let us have again the classes physically. So we want to be back to the normal, life again. So we are into the new normal now. Nothing to do. Our hands are bound. We have to take our classes. We have to continue with our classes. But definitely it's a very bad situation. And I agree with you, friends, very much that indeed it's very much needed that if some government initiatives or something is done so that at the remote places, at least people living or students, they are living in the remote places, they can get access to some smartphone or some tablet like that. But if they get it, then it will be better in particularly this situation. Because unless and until they have it in this particular situation, it's very difficult to handle our classes. And though we are missing our physical classes, but we are bound to take the classes online. And definitely there are some lacunas on those classes actually having the internet facilities. Last only October month, we were very much afraid because we had our final semester exams, whether all the students can give the exams. Thanks God that they have all appeared for the exams. They have done it and all have cleared it successfully. So anyways, but this is the situation in India. We cannot do anything. But still, life has to move on and hope for the better future. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. No more questions from the participants.
And thank you so much. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, entire organizing team members. Thank you, Principal Sir, and all the team members for indeed organizing and inviting me. It's an indeed great pleasure for me to be here with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your valuable time and information. Thank you, ma'am. Hello. Next, eminent resource person, Dr. Bidyarthi Dutta. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now I would like to welcome Dr. Bidyarthi Dutta. Dr. Bidyarthi Dutta has served as a librarian in St. Xavier's College, Kolkata from 2004 to 2011. After that, he has been holding his position as an assistant professor in the Department of Library and Information Science, Vidyasagar University. So now I would request sir to take over. Please, sir.
Good afternoon. Actually, after such a very nice and overwhelming presentation of Dr. Nivedita Bhattacharyya, I am just spellbound. Actually, it is so nice presentation, and particularly the statistics. It was so nice, and everything was so nicely spoken. So very, very thank you very much, Nivedita. And I have been overwhelmed to know that Indians spend so much time to reading, particularly Corona pandemic increased the reading habit. Okay, it is highly inspiring and it is very good indeed. However, so now actually I won't take much time. This seminar is on the reading habit. Actually, how the reading habit changed during the Corona pandemic situation. That is the, I think that is the topic. Digitization and library, changing nature of reading habit and learning environment in Corona pandemic scenario. Now here, I just point out one thing, that is, say, reading habit. Here we get two words are there. One is reading, another is habit. Now, reading, it is an action of a person who reads, and habit is a product of this action or learning. And reading habit, it is there in our gene. Actually, we have some reading habit which we acquired genetically. And reading habit was there since time immemorial. Now, like all other habits, the habit of reading actually is an individual develops during course of time. And therefore, it is an active attempt on the part of reader to understand the writer's message. Therefore, reading habit, this is at one point, it is a cognitive aspect, and at another point, it has some behavioral aspect. Now, reading habit in the situation of Corona pandemic, actually, and at the same time digitization, the point is that as the Corona pandemic and subsequent lockdown restricted people's movement, and therefore people were compelled to access and to read through electronic media. That is the thing. Otherwise, till today, we are now very much habituated in electronic book, but there are some negative points, minus points are still there for electronic books. And till today, we are also very keenly habituated with print books. Still we love print books, that is true. However, it is true, Corona pandemic situation changed that orientation. It compelled us to read through electronic media. That is the point actually. And one thing just I want to point out, that is the point, that is the changing nature of reading habit during COVID. And digitization is the context actually, but in India, if we see the number of mobile phone users, mobile internet users, and also the number of internet users, this is not more than 50 to 55 crores. Whereas the population of India is today nearly 140 crores, 138 crores. And therefore, in India, the 40% of total population, they have access to internet. Then what's about the remaining 60%? That is the one point. Another point is, during Corona pandemic, online classes were going on, yes, in all universities, in majority of colleges. Particularly, I am talking in the context of West Bengal, but in West Bengal, more than 70 or more than 80% schools, they were unable to regularly comments the online classes. They were unable to deliver teaching learning process to online mode regularly. That is one point. Particularly, almost more than 90% schools under West Bengal Board of Secondary Education, they could not conduct this online mode of teaching. That is the point, and that is the real scenario. That is the hard reality, which results, actually its effects will be clear after few months and in the next year and subsequently. And already there were a study just few days back I read in media that in 2021, 2022 in all over the country, number of school dropout will seriously increase. Then how to tackle those problems? School dropout is there in our education system. Actually, in India, we are highly worried about, it is true, we are highly worried about higher education, research, university education, fine. And at the same time, primary education and school education, that is secondary education, they are more or less utterly neglected. That is the point. And reading habit, it is such a thing, it should be inculcated from the beginning of the very childhood of a person. That is the point. And primary school, particularly primary school and upper primary or secondary school, particularly primary and upper primary schools, they should take the leading role in developing reading habit within a boy or girl. Actually, reading habit started from very childhood. Once a child have not developed any reading habit, have not inculcated the reading habit within him or her at the very childhood, it is difficult to continue and borne in mind that particular habituation in later life. Hence, primary education system and upper primary education system have a leading role in inculcating the reading habit among the students. But Corona pandemic did a very serious harm there. And I think even if any sociological study right now is done, some discrete these kinds of studies I saw a few weeks back, that in many rural or even urban or semi-urban areas, this corona pandemic, due to this corona pandemic, the students of secondary or higher secondary level who were just became out of touch of their education over these 10 months. Our lockdown started since the mid of March and it is December, already ended, and this year already finished, and therefore nearly 9 months. And most of those students, particularly West Bengal Board of Secondary Education schools, majority students, they are out of touch of education over these 9 months, which means, and definitely it will increase school dropout. It will increase, it will also make serious impact on girl students. Majority of the underprivileged section or weaker section of the society, they will let their girl child be married during this situation. And that is the situation. So how to tackle it? That is the that is actually main point. So yes, digitization is there, online learning, online reading habit, that is increasing, that is there within a particular class. But beyond that, if the holistic view is observed in the country-wise, then that is the point. Actually, corona pandemic definitely will let enhance the school dropout and child marriage. And how to tackle this? how to engage those dropped out or those clerk students again in the regular education system. That is actually point, just I want to point out. That is the thing. And another next problem, next thing is, yes, actually reading. The basis of reading is definitely book. We know book is actually, this is the most precious gift. We all know, and it is all-round development, all-round cognitive development rather of a person from his birth to death. It adds new sight to eyes and new wisdom to mind continuously. So it is a continuous process. And subsequently, it develops speech, it develops language, reading stimulates thoughts and everything. And therefore, it is also another point that is book reading is there, but learning, besides learning, online reading we know, but reading is the main means of learning. But besides learning, there are seeing or visualization, talking books, etc. Those are there, which are another means of increasing knowledge and wisdom. That is thing. But for instance, nowadays we are talking about reading habit. Nowadays, online lectures, online seminars, online movies, online videos, etc. are available. Online tutorial class, everything is available. So these are also there. Hence, reading habit. Reading means actually multi-purpose and all through reading. That is not only line by line reading. Reading, visualization, listening, everything will be there. Hence, it is a holistic concept actually. And this holistically, if we stimulate, if we motivate our students, if we motivate the young generation to read in this holistic way, only then it will motivate them. It will bring balance between their perception, and that will bring the synergy between the different aspects. That is the point. So this is the basic thing, that how to tackle, particularly corona pandemic. It leaves so many impact on the future world, and people are thinking that the global order will be radically changed after the end of corona pandemic. In India, we have already seen that serious drop in the GDP rate, the economic recession we are almost facing. Yes, in India, one thing is there. Only one sector faced least loss, least harm, that is the agro sector or agricultural sector, because the agricultural sector was least affected by this corona pandemic. And in India, the GDP, more than 2/3 of GDP comes from the agro product, agriculture, not from direct agriculture and agro processing industries. And therefore, agro-based and agro-processing industries, they faced little loss and little recession, but still, particularly the industry and the most harm occurred, most misery occurred to the people working in unorganized sectors, in urban and semi-urban areas, and they faced much trouble. So many people lost their jobs, migrant laborers, migrant workers, the misery of migrant workers we know, and in the beginning, particularly since the month of April to June, we know how migrant workers They moved across the countries and they just walked by their feet over 1,500 to 2,000, 2,500 kilometers. Horrible thing. Just people, and even in this, we are now talking about digitization, e-book, fine. And at the same time, during the lockdown, people are walking from Maharashtra to West Bengal. People are walking from Delhi to West Bengal. What is the distance? Mumbai to West Bengal, Mumbai to Kolkata, 2,000 kilometers. Delhi to Kolkata, 1,500 kilometers. That's much distance people are walking. Who are they? They are our citizen. They are our fellow citizen. Country workers, migrant laborers. We call them laborers. And during the course of working, lots of them just died on the way. These things happened, yes. And therefore, we should think everything holistically. I think that should be the way. So, one thing is that, yes, government initially announced lockdown within a very short notice, most probably 4 or 5 hours or only less than a day. Within very short notice, it announced the lockdown, initial lockdown. But still, the problem of migrant workers, the migrant workers problem could have been better managed. There was scope, but it was not. So, and therefore, it is the point. And all these things left very deep impact. The huge number of workers, they lost jobs. Similarly, under particular migrant labor, he migrated and he lost job. It left the impact. The measure of one man, it means it left the impact on a whole family, on at least 7 or 8 people. So that is the problem. And hence everything left very deep impact on the society. And so it needs lots of study, detailed study, that how this holistic problem can be tackled. Actually, yes, in some class, in some section of the society, reading time increased, reading habit increased, but from the sociological point of view, the holistic study should be there, particularly in the context of school dropout. Actually, if school dropout or not only school dropout, school or early college dropout occurs in a mass scale due to corona pandemic, obviously it will leave a very long run effect on the society. So these are the points. So okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
হ্যালো, হ্যাঁ স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন ডক্টর বিদ্যার্থী স্যার?
Yes, yes.
স্যার আপনার স্পিচ স্যার শেষ হয়ে গেছে?
Yes. Thank you very much.
ওকে
And
স্যার,
thank you, Ashish. Thank you, the Honorable Principal Sir, and the whole organization. Okay.
thanks sir. We have some question from the participants.
Yes.
Please sir, first question. Within this corona pandemic scenario, how can students keep up their reading habits?
Yes, please repeat. How can?
Within this corona pandemic scenario,
Yes.
how can students keep up their reading habits?
How can students keep up their reading habits? Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, very appropriate question. Actually, basically, I have a question against this question. The question is, during this corona pandemic, how can people keep up their reading habits? Now, my question is, in India, we can divide. In India, there is a thing we very adorably call it digital divide. That is the division between have and have nots. Have and have nots means info have and info have nots. Actually, G. Escorcia told one thing around 1980s, that the underdeveloped nations of the past are the underdeveloped nations of the present day are those who came late in industrial revolution, and the underdeveloped nations of the future will be those who have already come late in information revolution. It was G. Escorcia's famous saying. And in India already was late in information revolution. So in India, what we are seeing today, the digital divide, which separates have student and have not student. So my question is, the students belongs from which class? From have not, belongs to have not section of the society or have section of the society? Yes. If a student have access to internet, mobile or device, he can easily keep up his reading habit. That is not very difficult, because it is true nowadays lots of things are available free of cost in online. That is true. And particularly DOAJ, DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals, DOAP, Directory of Open Access Book, DOAR, Directory of Open Access Repositories, NDLI, National Digital Library, they opened up high scope of reading free online documents. So that is true. But what's about have not students? The weaker section of the society still can't afford even a mobile or tab. Tab is costlier. Even a mobile, then what will be about it? They have to rely, the students belonging to weaker section of the society still have to rely on traditional printed books. That is the thing. And at this point, libraries have a very big role, very pertinent role. This is the thing still. And therefore, I think, particularly in India, the scenario of public library is very miserable today, and that should be restored, immediately restored. Public library, that is, we are misfortunate, we still not yet understood the importance of public library. A public library just can change the overall landscape an overall scenario of its surroundings. That is the thing. Hence, it is the point. It depends actually. A student belongs to which class of which section of the society. Have info have section or info have not section. Yes.
Thank you, sir. And sir, second question: what types of activities should be conducted for children at school library?
What type of activities should be conducted?
Should be conducted for children at school library.
Yes. Should be conducted for children at school library, and therefore it is meant you are talking about primary school, because children means the primary school. Only primary school students, they are addressed as children. It is very good questions. Yes. The first point is, in our country, there should be a regulation, a strict regulation, that every primary school should have and must have a library. And I am very sorry to say, in India, more than 95% of primary schools, they have no library. And for secondary schools, more than 80% of the schools, they have no library. And in many schools, sorry, and in many schools, where librarians are there, they just maintain clerical jobs. This is the hard reality. And in many schools, they maintain they keep one almirah in headmaster's room and keep some textbooks within that almirah. And they say, just look, that is our library. And therefore, at the foremost position in our country, there should be a strict regulation, regulatory act. Yes, that every school should have a library, and also every primary school should have a library. And I don't know, you will be very sorry to know that in West Bengal, do you know how many children's libraries are there? For instance, I am telling, in the metro city, Kolkata, there are only very few, so few children library that you can just count at your fingertips. আঙুলে গোনা বোধহয় 3-4টি চিলড্রেন লাইব্রেরি আছে কি নেই এই কলকাতার মতন এত বড় একটা শহরে। সেখানে বাকি ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলের কথা আমি নাইবা বললাম। And the concept of children library, it is utterly ignored in our country. Even in India, in our library science curricula, students are hardly taught about children library in most of the universities. That is the point. So at first, the concept, before that also, the concept of children library should be popularized. Yes, you are child and you also need a library. There should also be a library. There should be a library devoted to children also. Actually, we can't think in that line. We always think, oh, children, oh, বাচ্চা hai usko chhod do. Oh, বাচ্চা কিছু জানে না। বাচ্চা বলে তাকে অবজ্ঞা করা। এটা একটা আমাদের মানে ধাত। It is our habit. কাছাকাছি আমাদের এই যে mentality, we should have changed this mentality. That is the first point. And yes, we librarians, we library professionals, we should take active role in popularizing the concept of children library among the society. That is the point. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Sir, next or last question. What is the viewpoint on children corner?
What is the? Please repeat.
What is the viewpoint on children corner?
On children?
Corner.
Children corner?
Yes, sir.
Children corner means a children section of the library you are Actually, you want to say that the library should have a separate children's section. Is it that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, that I have told you that. There should be, yes, our national library, they have a children's section, though they have some peculiar rules. Up to age 12 years, they can access, but from 12 to 15 children, for them, there is no provision in national library. That is also true. The children's section of national library accessible for up to 12 years students and 12 year age students. And the adult library will be accessible from 18 years and upwards as a student. But the students aged between 12 and 18, they have no access to National Library or Indian National Library. That is very peculiar thing. And in India, yes, British Council Library, they have a children's section. American Library, very few public libraries, they have a children's section. Institute of Culture Library. In Kolkata, what I have seen, the Institute of Culture Library, they maintain very good children's section, and actually their children library is highly standardized, including everything, the almirah, stacks, surroundings, chairs, reading chairs, tables, everything. And in India, 98% libraries, they have not even a children's section. Actually, we hardly think about children. That is the point. Therefore, children education is utterly ignored in our country. Children library also. That is the thing, actually. So first we have to popularize the concept of children library. And we, the library professionals, we librarians only, we have to take this action to how to popularize the concept of children library among different sections of the society. That is it. Okay.
Thank you, sir. No more questions from the participants. Thank you for your valuable time and information.
Thank you very much.
After a delightful session, we have now reached the end of our national webinar. I hope every one of us has enjoyed the fruitful lecture given by our eminent resource persons. The success of the webinar lies in the hands of everyone. In this respect, I would like to thank Mr. Sibobroto Banerjee, Principal, Project Officer Systems, National Digital Library of India, IIT Kharagpur. From the core of my heart, then I would like to show my gratitude towards Director Sir Dr. Pradeep Ghosh for his constant backup and Principal Sir Dr. Sudipto Chakraborty for his encouragement. I am indebted to Mr. Abhishek Das, Office in Charge, for his help, and Mr. Suman Mollik, Technical in Charge, for his continuous attention toward making this webinar a success. I want to thank Mr. Abhishek Chakraborty, Technical Assistant and Organizing Secretary of this webinar, and Mr. Santosh Singh, Library Attendant, for their steady helps. Finally, I would like to thank the participants for their valuable presence. I wish everybody a very good night. Thank you.